pleased to present for your consideration.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Jabberbox Podcast, episode 18. I'm one of your hosts, Andy Bond, and with me are the icy blues of the desert, the former devil himself, Mr. Daniel Singleton.
What's going on, everyone? Happy to be here.
If you're joining in for the very first time, then you should know that this show is about the two of us as we ramble on through pop culture topics such as, but not limited to, games, movies, shows, and whatever else we want to jabber about. You can get the show over on youtube.com/dandydigital or over on Spotify and iTunes by searching Jabberbox and hitting that subscribe button. If you like what you hear and want to be part of the show, head on over to patreon.com/dandydigital. Now let's get into the show. Mr.
Yes,
Singleton, what's new? What's happening, man? What's going on? How's life?
Oh, it goes. It's been busy. Some people in the house had LASIK, which we talked about last week.
Yeah.
So Jess had that yesterday, and things are looking great. She had a follow-up appointment this morning. Everything looks good. So, in a week and a half or so, she should be back to full strength, but she's been cleared otherwise. She's able to drive. She's able to do everything else while she recovers.
Yeah,
everything looks good
about
on
her
that.
Experience.
Yeah, she said that there was a lot of similar stuff to what she heard us talking about, what she heard you talking about during your experience last week. And she said that the thing that got her most was the little suction cup on the eyeball thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was all very similar. Suction cup on the eyeball, popped it out a little. The strobe light effect.
Fucking cool, man.
Yeah. So yeah, it was all very similar to what you had described, and the whole procedure incredibly took 8 minutes.
That's it.
And that's all of it. Both eyes. It's not per eye. It was 4 minutes per eye. And they had trouble with one of her eyes. So I would guess it's probably normally slightly faster than that if there's no issue.
What do you mean trouble?
They were having trouble grabbing one of the flaps to flip it up.
Okay.
So other than that, it wasn't anything major. It was like I wasn't in the room, so I couldn't really describe it. But it was just some sort of issue with being able to grab the flap and pull it back so that the laser could do its thing.
Fuck, man.
So I'm guessing it's closer to 6 or 7 minutes normally.
Yeah, nothing.
Just
it's
fucking
real
incredible.
Quick. It's fantastic. I'm glad. And then after a couple days, she's going to be fully HD in the eyeballs, man.
Yeah, she said that she's already able to see stuff she couldn't see before. Like on the drive home, even right after the surgery, she was like, wow, I can read that phone number on the side of that truck, or I can read that road sign from farther away than I used to be able to. So the improvement was practically instantaneous.
Right. Science, man. What a hell of a thing,
No joke. No joke.
LASIK is one of the coolest things ever. Go back to last week and hear me talk about it. I don't want to.
Yeah, it's super.
I won't get all into it, but
it's super impressive for sure.
It's fantastic.
What about you? What's going on with you, good sir?
I've been keeping busy with just shit that I received. So I built a pretty sweet Lego set. I got the bonsai tree. So I built that yesterday. That was pretty my excitement for the week.
And why did you receive these things?
My sister got it for me.
For what?
Because
because it was your birthday?
Yeah, it was my birthday on the 18th. Yep. So
happy late birthday.
Thank you.
We should have mentioned it on last week's podcast, but I'm an asshole, so don't mind me.
Yeah, so I got a couple cool things. I got a Roy Kent jersey, which is fucking awesome, from Ted Lasso. And I'm going to wear that every sport event ever. I don't even care. So it'll be basketball, baseball. Don't even give a shit. Roy Kent. He's here. He's there. He's every fucking where. Roy Kent. Roy Kent. One
of these days I'm going to have to catch up and watch that show.
Yeah, man. Because then you'll be like, okay, now I get it.
I understand.
So I got that. I got a sweet ass NutriBullet, though not NutriBullet, the Nutri Ninja blender. So I've been making shakes or smoothies. more accurately every day this week. So getting in my kale intake and, some more bananas and oranges, the little bit of nutmeg and some, sweetened, is like all vanilla almond milk. So I feel good, which is awesome.
That's
with
the
those,
dream.
That's my breakfast, or has been my breakfast all week. So I'm looking through the recipe book, and I know I need to take in some good fats. So I found a chocolate pudding, that's made with avocado, and I'm cautiously optimistic on it because
you haven't tried it yet?
Not yet. So I wanted to do my smoothies to begin with.
Do you like avocado?
I hate avocado. I hate it so much. Like, I hate guacamole. I don't put that shit anywhere on my food. It's like onion to me, where it's overpowering in the taste. So it completely kills my palate. Whenever even if it's a little bit, I can taste it. And then, I guess I don't want to say the texture, because guacamole and avocado don't have the same sort of texture, but the taste overpowers everything. So I don't like it.
I wonder if you have like a genetic thing up with your taste buds, because I know that years ago, I read an article about how different people react differently to cilantro. Some people love it and they love what it brings. And then other people say, oh, it tastes like literally a bar of soap in my mouth.
Really?
And apparently they identified why there's a percentage of people who think it tastes like a bar of soap. It's some sort of genetic thing with their taste buds and how it reacts to the chemical composition in cilantro. It's really weird. Kind of makes you think differently about why people like certain foods and other people don't.
Right.
Like liver and onions. My grandparents really liked liver and onions, and I tried it once. Really liked the onions, not so much the liver. Now, I've only had it like twice in my life, and I didn't like it both times. Could it be the way it was prepared? I suppose. But I tried it twice, didn't like it twice, so I'm not going to go out of my way to try it a third time.
Did they make it both times? Like, when you tried it both times, was it done by the same person in the same way?
It was not.
Okay.
Well, I don't know about the same way. I don't know how it was cooked, but it wasn't the same person.
Okay. Was it both homemade?
No. One was in a restaurant and one was my grandparents made it.
Okay. Then you don't like it.
Yeah,
that's the only
not.
thing I can think of. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you took the element of like the grandparents out of it, and it was still the same. So
I've also heard, though, that if there's a food you don't like, you should try it every like 5 to 7 years, because your taste buds can change over time.
Yeah, they do.
So yeah, maybe at some point in my life again, I'll give it another whirl and see how it goes.
Right. Fucking A. So I've been doing that. While I'm doing that, I started doing exercise again. So that's what I've been doing. And I haven't weighed myself because we don't have a scale, and I actually just haven't gone out and bought one. But I can tell just by looking at myself that things are changing. My stomach is still a little bit bigger than I'd like it to be, but my waist is slimming down to where the pants that I wear quite frequently without a belt, I need a belt for.
Yeah, that's a good improvement.
There's probably like 3 inches when I pull on the belt loop to see where they're at. There's probably a solid 3 inches of space that I can see. So
yeah, I need to get one of those tape measures and measure my own inch measurements.
Right.
So that I can because I don't feel so. I've been doing the fasting, as we've talked about.
Yeah.
And my gut hasn't really shrunk very much, slightly, but I'm not seeing the physical change yet. I have lost some weight, but I'm not seeing it. But I have noticed that where I do have fat, it is softer than it was before.
Well, that's good. So it's working on it. So it's breaking down.
Yeah. Like, it's not as firm as it once was. It's gooey now. So there's progress being made. It's just that I can't see it yet.
Are you doing any exercises? Or is it just the fasting?
Mostly just the fasting, and then I walk a fuck ton at work.
Okay.
So I don't go out of my way to do extra workouts or anything like that.
Okay. Yeah. That's the only thing I could think of to kind of maybe slim that down is jog if you're at home. But if you walk a lot, then walking and jogging is not on the top of your list to do.
Even if I just sat my ass in a chair all day, I would walk before I would ever run. I have always hated running. Even when I was in like peak physical form, when I was in the Marines, I've never been a runner.
Right.
You want me to put 70 pounds on my back and walk forever? I can do that much more easily than I can run a half or a mile. It's just, I don't know, just how it is.
Yep. Well, that's good. That's good. For me, like in my stomach, I can see it in the mornings when I wake up. I can see it's a little bit down, but when I eat, and I'm trying not to eat a lot, we've been splitting meals or I pull back on my portions, but when I get food in my stomach, it likes to make sure I know that there's food in there. So, in the meantime, I'm doing my workout. So every day I've been trying to walk. Walking is a little bit harder because of, the day job and taking the kids to school and stuff like that. It just takes up a lot of my time, but I still try to walk where I can. Like if we don't have the kids in the mornings because they're at their dad's house, I will take a break and go for a walk. When we do have them, I don't get around to doing the walk that I would like to do, but I've been doing Ring Fit on the Nintendo Switch. And so that's where my exercise is coming in. So it does a lot of core exercises. And, I'm doing a lot of squats. I'm doing a lot of planks. I'm doing a lot of running in place because that's how you move your character through levels to get to the enemies. And then the attacks that you do in this game are exercise moves. And they even have like certain yoga poses that do damage and then other yoga poses that you can put into your like a 5 skill set, tree or whatever, or selections that you have. And that will allow you to heal. So I can do like some weird ass yoga poses to get my health back if I'm in the middle of a boss fight and I ran out of protein shakes that help give me my health. So that's pretty cool. I like that. And I've been keeping up with that. I think I take a day off here and there, but my shins start to hurt running in place for a while, and I got to figure out how to alleviate that.
Yeah, I need to start getting back into Beat Saber again. I was playing that every day for several months, and it really helped speed things up. Last time I was on a weight loss.
Yes, that could be your exercise.
Oh, for sure.
With your fasting. I need to get the new pack that's out, but I'm not a huge fan of that artist, and I'm not sure if the songs are going to be upbeat enough because I've heard the songs that Mary and the kids listen to for Billie Eilish.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the songs that they really like are slow. So I hope that's not the case for Beat Saber because I hate that. There's actually a couple songs that they've done where it just I don't get anything out of it. If I'm not moving, then it's pointless for me to select that song.
Got to crank up that difficulty, bro.
Even on the difficulty for some of the slower songs is still a pain in the ass,
Yeah.
So, but that's what I've been doing. That's my exercise and smoothie makes.
Before we get into the cookies, I have to give a shout out here to the Arizona motherfucking Cardinals being undefeated so far this season. I am stoked about it.
Me too. But you want to know what I think?
What do you got?
I was talking because I watched the game last week.
Yep.
And we beat the Browns.
Oh yeah, we did.
And that was awesome. Now I saw when I went out to lunch, they had the TV up turned on for ESPN or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about it. Now we're going against the Texans on Sunday. Yep. We're probably going to lose this. And I'll say this is why. I was talking with Mary's brother, and he says this. I don't know if he said this about the Cardinals or if he said this about the Suns, but it's a nice rule of thumb for all Arizona teams. We beat the teams we shouldn't. We lose to the teams we should beat. And when I look at the Texans, they're 1-5.
Yep.
that they have no business beating the Cardinals at this point, but I think because Arizona likes to fucking get overconfident and choke on shit, they're gonna fuck it up.
So
I don't want them to. I'm not putting that out there. I want them to win. I want this. This is awesome. We're the only team in the NFL that is undefeated. I want that to keep going as long as possible. But when I heard that, I was like, you know what? You're right. It's like the Phoenix Suns. We beat the Lakers. We fucking shut the Lakers out in the playoffs. And then we struggled
we beat them
against
again
the
last
Clippers.
night.
Did we?
The Suns beat the
And
Lakers
then we go
last
against
night.
the Clippers and we struggle. That's not to say the Clippers are a bad team, but the Lakers are supposed to be like a top tier, like an S tier team. And the Suns have no right beating those guys. But we struggle with other teams that, you know, we should easily kick their ass in a game.
Yeah, we definitely play to our opponents historically. Like, if we play a good team, we usually play well.
Right.
If we play a shit team, we play like shit. Historically, that's been the case, and I'm not going to disagree. The past 3 road games for the Texans, they have been outscored. I think it was like 74-3 in the past 3 road games this season.
Holy shit.
They've been shut out twice, and they scored a field goal one other time. So I don't think we're going to lose this game.
I hope not.
And if we do, I think it would be because, now, of course, it's the NFL, any given Sunday, I get it. If we lose this game, it will be because the team is focused on their next opponent.
Yeah.
We have a short week. We're playing Thursday night next week, and the Packers are coming to town.
Okay.
So if they lose this week, it's because they're focused on next week.
Yeah, but they shouldn't. That's you should do both. You know what I mean?
I understand. Yeah,
But,
no, I get it. And fortunately,
especially against the Texans, don't give up your fucking undefeated record to a team that's struggling to even fucking get on the road to meet their games.
Probably the worst team in the league, the Texans.
Yeah. So if we lose against them, that's a fucking nobody's going to think anything of the Cardinals at that point. Like, oh, you guys were undefeated until that team beat you.
The way that they've been playing, though, I have a hard time seeing it. And this is going to be a revenge game in a way for both Hopkins and Watt. Like one of our top offensive players and one of our top defensive players. So there's going to be somebody on the field at all times that wants to just stomp the fuck out of the Texans. So
we'll see.
There's some, I think we're going to be okay. I have pretty good confidence. I know historically there's some questions, but this is a new team, man. They are looking tip fucking top. I am a little worried about the Packers, but if you want to go off a historical performance of the Cardinals, that is one team we tend to do pretty well against relatively consistently.
The Packers
is the Packers, especially in the playoffs. I think since Aaron Rodgers has been with Green Bay, I think every time that the Cardinals have met them in the playoffs, they've won 4-1. I think we've only lost to them once in the playoffs, and we've won like 3 or 4 other times. So historically, we tend to do well against them for some reason, even with Rodgers. And they're not as well-rounded on both sides of the ball as the Cardinals are. So the concern is the short week, but both teams have a short week, and Green Bay has to travel. So I think it's a slight edge there.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that they win both, but I really hope that they don't lose to the Texans.
Yeah, I can stand losing to Green Bay on a short week. That would be way more acceptable than losing to the fucking Texans.
Yeah.
But regardless, I'm excited. And I'm going to a game next month. When the Panthers come to town, I'm finally going to go to an NFL game. I'm a little disappointed I won't get to see Larry Fitzgerald play in person. But, that's my fault. I waited too long.
So he's retired, right?
Technically, no. He's an unrestricted free agent at the moment. He could technically sign with any team he would want to, but he's been asked about it a few times, and he just says, I don't really have the desire to play right now. So he's de facto retired, but he could, theoretically come back with literally any team he wants.
Okay. Yeah, I just wasn't sure where he was, and then I saw commercials where he was still in Cardinal gear.
Yeah, he's been doing broadcasting and that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
So, he could change his mind. Like if they make a serious run, he could always sign and be like, okay, I'm ready to come back and get my fucking ring now.
Right. That'd be awesome.
There's also the argument that's been made since the offense is playing as well as they are because of the wide receiver core the way it is. Larry Fitzgerald moving aside and moving on in a way allowed that roster spot to open for someone like Rondale Moore to come in or Christian Kirk to come in and play Larry's old role. And Larry's a great player, don't get me wrong, but he in the past couple seasons that he played, he had a little bit of trouble getting separation and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
His hands are still probably the most reliable in the business. Like, he has more tackles as an offensive player than he does dropped passes in his career. That's fucking mind-boggling.
Yeah.
So he has the hands, but can he get the speed and the separation? That's the question.
Yeah.
So, and if he doesn't feel the need to play, if he's not feeling the urge to, make himself the best he can, does he come back? I don't want to talk for him, so I don't know the answer to that. But there's also the argument that him not being there has opened opportunities that the Cardinals wouldn't otherwise have.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well,
so
hopefully they win tomorrow, because that would be awesome.
Yeah, 7-0, baby.
Keep that streak going, man. You know what I mean?
Let's fucking go.
I hope so. Who are they playing the next couple games? Yeah, Texans,
and then
Packers,
and then they're on the road to. I don't remember.
Okay, not a big deal. I just wasn't sure.
Well, now I'm gonna have to look it up because it's gonna bother me. Oh, they're on the road to San Francisco. So Texans at home, Packers at home, on the road for the 49ers, then the Panthers at home, then they're on the road for the Seahawks and on the road to the Bears.
Seahawks will give them trouble.
I don't know. Russell Wilson's injured. We're gonna find out, I guess.
Yeah, but that's what, like that's a month out?
About.
So we'll see.
Month and a week.
Yep.
Bears, and then Rams at home, Cardinals at the Lions, and then Colts are coming here. Then the Cardinals go to the Cowboys, and then the Seahawks come to the Cardinals. So the most troubling games are always going to be divisional, right? Always going to be the Niners, the Rams, and the Seahawks. Those are always question marks.
Yeah.
We tend to, I don't know why, but we're one of the only teams that tends to play well at the Seahawks. Like there's been a few times in the past, 5 or 6 years where people are like, oh, there's no way the Cardinals are going to go to the Seahawks and beat them at home. And we do more than 50% of the time. The Bears aren't very good this year. Rams, we have to play them again, but they're coming to us instead of us going to them. So we've already got the slight edge there. The Lions are trash. The Colts keep losing on their record should be better than 2-4, which is what it is right now. But it's just not. It should be, but they keep getting bad beats, and that sometimes that we had to deal with that with kickers. Yeah. Like if we had a decent kicker last season, we would have been in the playoffs. We lost so many games by a missed field goal or a missed extra point that thank God we have fucking Matt Prater now, because that guy. He's consistent, and he can hit bombs from pretty far away.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyways, I'll stop rambling on about football. I can talk
Wow.
about that for quite some time. I know we have some cookies to discuss.
Yeah, man.
All right.
So the cookies that we had for this week was the Classy Crispy Bar,
Yes, sir.
the peanut butter cup featuring Reese's, bubblegum,
Yep.
and then the sugar cookie with Twix.
Yes. So I had a real mixed bag this week.
Me too.
I had one that hit my top 3, and I had one that hit my bottom 3.
Jesus, I wasn't that mixed.
Yeah.
Mine are middle of the road again this week. I was a little bit let down based on the cookies that came out. Yeah, I was excited. And the one of them that was a complete fucking miss was the Rice Krispie.
Same. That was the one that hit my bottom 3.
I was really disappointed on that one. That is one I like to say this entire time, that being on the bottom of the week isn't the bottom of the ranks. The crispy or the Rice Krispie was that, like, when, you know what I'm saying, it's like the bottom is like, because it's the last one doesn't mean it's bad. You know what I mean? Where it's like, yeah, Rice Krispie came in the 4th, but you know, that's still a good cookie, but the other ones are strong. The Rice Krispie one was just not a good cookie.
It wasn't even a cookie. I'm just going to say that. It was a Rice Krispie treat shaped like a cookie.
Yeah, but
it wasn't a cookie.
So as far as Rice Krispie treats go, even being homemade or whatever, that missed the mark by a mile.
In my opinion, like I said, this is my second to worst cookie ever. It was low effort. The Rice Krispie cereal was stale, at least in the one I had. There was nothing special about it. Low quality. It was just a circular Rice Krispie treat with not enough marshmallows. And
thank you. And I think that's what it was, not enough marshmallow.
There wasn't enough marshmallow, and it was stale Rice Krispies.
It wasn't so much stale for me. It was just overcooked without the marshmallow there. It was just, then the Rice Krispie itself was flatlined, had no flavor. You know, I would rather have an entire bowl of regular Cheerios without milk than to eat that cookie again.
I don't disagree. It was not their best effort. Second worst all time for me. Number 50 out of 51.
Damn. The next one wasn't surprising. Well, it wasn't bad. And I normally hate this shit. Bubblegum.
Yep, that was my number 3 for the week as well.
That was my number 3, but it was still good. Like, I like it.
It was, I will say, it was good for what it was.
Yeah, for a bubblegum flavored treat. That was good. And I hate bubblegum stuff. I think it tastes like toothpaste too often. This did not. I like it. So
I can see why it would be appealing to those that like bubblegum, but for me individually, this is not an overall critique of quality or anything like that, because it was a high quality, it was well done.
Yeah, soft. It's good.
For me, it was the exact same taste from when I would go to the dentist as a child.
Yeah. So
that is all I could think about when I was trying that cookie, and I couldn't even. I took 2 bites and I was like, no. I feel like I'm going to start bleeding from the gums any minute because somebody's going to keep stabbing me repeatedly. It tasted like a dental visit to me.
Yeah,
which
I can see that.
Like, those aren't bad flavors. They're just not
bad memories.
Yeah, they're just not fun memories, right?
Yeah.
So that's a more of a personal ranking than it is a quality. It was a quality cookie. It had all the right notes, all the right flavors. Just individually, not my thing.
Yeah, makes sense. That's nothing bad about that. Then my number 2 is the peanut butter cup.
Man, we had the same ranks for the week.
Mm-hmm.
Peanut butter cup.
That once or twice.
Peanut butter cup featuring Reese's. That's my number 13 overall, all time. So for that one, I thought it was maybe just a little bit too much peanut butter.
It was.
Overall, really good, but it could have used a little bit more of the chocolate part of the Reese's cup.
Yep. Fucking A, man. Same exact thoughts too. That's why I did it. And then we had sugar cookie featuring Twix, which the caramel on there. And I know that if a cookie has that, it ranks pretty high for you.
Oh yeah.
Twix is good on its own. I will have it if there's no other candy, right? But if you put it next to like a Milky Way or a Snickers or a Kit Kat, I'll do those before I do a Twix. But the way that they did the caramel and the chocolate on this sugar cookie was fucking solid.
Yeah.
It wasn't too much of anything.
I have it number 3 all time. Crack top 3.
It. So if we see caramel, I'm like, okay,
this is it.
That'll be a high ranking one for sure.
It was creamy. It was delicious. Like the layers, like you were talking about, they were distinct. They didn't just blend together. You could individually taste the chocolate and the caramel separately.
Yep. And then the cookie.
And then the mini fun-sized Twix that was on top gave it like a really nice texture crunch when you got to that part. It was.
I never eat that shit with the cookie. If you put something on the top, I will eat that right away. So I ate the Twix before I tried the cookie.
See, you needed to have the Twix with the cookie to get the texture difference.
All right, next time.
It's a game changer, man. Go get cookies on Monday. They'll have a few left over. You can grab one and try it again.
We'll see. We'll see what this week is. If they do 5, then I'm not getting that one.
Oh, yeah. You think they're gonna do 5?
They haven't done 5 in a while. It's coming.
Guess we'll find out.
It's coming. Because it seemed like they were doing 5 every other week.
Maybe. Next week's going to be interesting because I will not be here to record. I will have the cookies. I will make notes. And then the weekend after that, I'm also gone. So there's going to be a backlog of Crumble cookie rankings that we're going to have to insert upon my return.
That's all right. We could do that.
We'll do that. That alone will be a whole episode.
Yeah. And I'll definitely be making notes with it as I go. That way I don't forget about it 3 weeks later.
It's the way to do it.
So, because with the Halloween and all that coming in, there's a lot of eating that'll get rid of the thoughts for Crumble.
Yeah, all the progress we're making on our diets and fasting about to go right out the fucking door with Halloween.
Nope. Means I'm just going to kick it up a little bit, more.
Well, it'll be at least postponed for me because I'm going to a wedding. And then after that, I'm doing a road trip to go to a funeral with family. So it's going to be difficult. Well, not impossible. And I'm not going to gorge myself. I'm not going to eat 10 pounds of fucking Cheetos while I'm driving down the road. Right.
Right.
But it's definitely going to be a little more difficult.
It is harder,
when you're traveling and all that. So,
but you're doing the fasting thing, so that can make it a little bit easier.
True.
Because you're only eating during a certain window.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. I guess we'll just see how it plays out.
Yep. So that's it for the Crumble cookie ratings, the CCRs, as I'm now calling that. But I did see, I wanted to get your thoughts on this, right? So we went to the mall, I want to say last week or this week.
Let's go to the mall.
And holy fuck, man. Arrowhead Mall is becoming a fucking dump. And
really?
We're getting a lot of crappy clothing stores, crappy jewelry stores, and crappy toy stores. Now, I know a lot of that ramps up around the holidays, but it's getting pretty gross. And I think that's because we no longer have PV Mall. We no longer have Metro Mall. So they're all migrating. Everybody's migrating to this one particular place, and the quality of it is slipping pretty fast.
That's a shame.
So
I haven't been there in a couple months. So
yeah, it's not doing so well. Now, I wanted to ask what you thought about how long malls will actually stay around. Because They've actually only been around since the 80s, right? So they're not even around that long.
Late 70s, yeah. I mean, they haven't been.
They haven't been, I mean, it's been a staple in consumerism for a short amount of time comparatively to other things. Now, I know that the internet shopping, like Amazon, has a lot to do with that. But I also think there's something that's like, yeah, we can shop online, but there's something about going to the mall. You know what I mean? There is something about that I've always enjoyed. And it could be that the pandemic is causing this to speed up. But I honestly think that a lot of malls, aside from one or two here and there, or the Mall of America being, like a specialty,
place.
Yeah. Being around, I think in 3 to 5 years, malls will be done.
Well, I think the definition of a mall will change. I think it already is, actually. So I think a good example is somewhere like over in Scottsdale with Kierland Commons.
Yeah.
That, I think, is going to be more of the future. You're going to have a bundle of stores in a geographic area that are within walking distance, and there's
like
going to
an
be
outlet mall, right?
Kind of. It's more of what's the word I'm trying to look for here? Like a civic center.
Okay.
Like a town square almost.
Yeah.
Another good example is up in Prescott. You've been to Prescott.
Yep.
Where the courthouse is, like in the center of town, and they have all those little local shops and restaurants all the way around it.
That's where I went and got my pennies.
Well, there you go.
It was right over there.
So I think that is a kind of a good example of where things may be headed. As you mentioned, Paradise Valley Mall, Metro Center Mall, they struggled, they failed, they're gone. Arrowhead sounds like it's starting to slip a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That was always one of the higher end, malls. It's not the high end mall, but it's one of the nicer malls, or it was.
It was, yeah.
And now it's starting to slip because of lack of opportunity for those retailers. Are you ever going to get rid of Scottsdale Fashion Square, Biltmore kind of area? Probably not, because there's a lot of money over in that area, and a lot of it's older money, and that's what they do, right? Like, they go shopping at high-end places and spend their money.
Right.
So those, I think, will hold on a lot longer than places like Arrowhead Mall or Christown Mall is still hanging in there, isn't it, somehow?
I thought that was one of the first ones that kind of went to the side a little bit. I thought.
What's the one at like 75th and Thomas?
That's Christown.
Yeah, that's still hanging in there. I thought so. I drive
barely.
past it once in a
I mean,
while.
when you think of the mall here, and I never think of Christown. I thought Christown went the way of the dodo way before. You know what I mean?
You would think Christown would have disappeared long before Metro Center or Paradise Valley.
Yeah. And I thought it did. So I've only been to Christown one time, and I think I was like 8.
Yeah.
And then I thought it shut down, because every time we drive by it, because Mary's brother lived over there at a point, and it just looked empty all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aside from like the movie theater, they have a Harkins there, and that's the only business I ever saw any cars to.
Yeah.
And a Costco.
I could see Chandler Fashion Square holding on a little longer than most as well, because it's a little bit higher end as well.
And it looked nice the last time I was there a couple years back.
It's huge too, and there's a lot of very high paying jobs in the Chandler and Gilbert area. So I think that will stay maintained for a lot longer than most. We haven't even talked about Arizona Mills, though. Like,
that's
Arizona
also a dump that is, and I think the only thing that's holding that up, holding it afloat, pun maybe intended, is the Sea Life Aquarium.
Yeah, and there's also that Crayola thing there. There's a Crayola attraction there.
Oh, yeah.
But do you remember how much hype there was with that mall when it opened?
Yeah.
Like, it was peak. Man, that was the place to fucking be.
Yeah.
And now it's full of airbrush T-shirts and sticker shops.
Yeah.
Like it's just
They
a
couldn't
fucking
even
dump.
keep like whatever they turned GameWorks into,
Yeah.
is sad on its own.
But then not far from there, you have Tempe Marketplace, and Tempe Marketplace is hopping. Like that place is doing really well.
That does really well, and Westgate is doing really well.
I think that is more where that kind of stuff is headed.
Makes sense.
It's going to be mixed use. It's not just going to be straight up retail. You're going to have retail. You might have housing. You might have you'll have restaurants. You'll have event centers.
See,
that
and
kind of
that's
stuff.
what's crazy. Instead of putting a Costco into a mall, put a Dave and Buster's.
Mm-hmm.
Like, put one of those. Put a Mavericks in there. I don't know. You could put all kinds of different things in there. That is entertainment based. Costco's not an entertainment based business that you're going to shove into a mall. When you go to the mall, while yes, you're shopping for clothing and other random shit like you might do at a Costco, it doesn't bring that same sort of feel. Like if I'm going shopping, it's almost like a GameWorks. I'm going to go to GameWorks, I'm going to play, and then, hey, I'm going to run into the mall real quick and I'm going to do this. Or Arizona Mills. I'm going to go in and do the aquarium. And, we're here. Let's go walk around for a little bit. Let's grab some lunch and shit like that. That's what you can do for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, mixed use, I think, is where that's going to go.
Yeah.
So those are my thoughts on malls.
Yeah, but yeah, I noticed it, and that's why I wanted to bring it up. With Christmas coming up, I always really liked going to Arizona or Arrowhead. That was my go-to. Even when I didn't live over in this area, I would come over to Arrowhead because I liked how they did their Christmas setup.
Sure.
I liked that particular type of mall. That was still closer than Scottsdale, which does a really good job on that as well. But now aside from me not wanting to be around larger groups of people for the most part, it sucks that it's going that way. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. So the other thing that's changing is the U.S. Army.
Oh, what are they changing?
They are doing huge experiments with robot tanks. We were just talking about robots last week, John. And so, Skynet maybe is becoming a thing.
Imminent.
Right. So I thought this was kind of funny because we were talking about it. As soon as we said it, this popped up. So they've done actually a couple different things. They're doing listening. Like sniper dogs. Have you seen that?
No.
So they showed off these. Did you watch Black Mirror?
No.
Fuck. Okay.
I know.
In an episode of Black Mirror, there are these people that are being hunted by robotic dogs. They're like security bots, essentially, because you see like 3 people trying to rob this place, and then their security drones turn on, and they're 4-legged, cylinder tubes, essentially. So we'll call them dogs, and they have like little guns, or not guns, but like little cameras on their head, and they have little weapons like a saw or a knife or whatever that they can try to kill you with. So they're chasing this thing, they're chasing this person, and the person's trying to survive, clearly. When they showed this off, I don't know if this was like a prototype that they designed or if somebody just made it online and then strapped a fucking gun to its back, but it looks exactly like that from Black Mirror.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at a picture of it now.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's like a sniper dog, essentially. So they have that. Now the military, and that's what I wanted to talk about this week, but then the military was like, we're going to do experimental robotic tanks. So essentially from the article that I saw on IGN, it's like the lessons learned will help to refine the vehicles, hardware, and software for future battles.
Interesting. I know the Marine Corps just recently got rid of all their tanks, their tank capabilities. The Marine Corps no longer uses main battle tanks.
For what?
For I couldn't tell you. They just transferred all of that responsibility to the Army, basically.
Okay.
The intent is to try to move back to my understanding. I'm not active duty. I haven't been in a while. My understanding is that they're trying to move back to a more agile, more responsive force. And it's hard to do that with heavy equipment, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard to make a beach landing with a tank.
Yeah. Makes sense. They're trying to make
beach landings in the future. I don't know.
They're trying to make them more specialized ops than
They're trying to bring them back to being the naval infantry instead of just ground-based warfare units.
Makes sense. I to a point. Yeah, I can see that. But so I thought it was like interesting that they're doing this. So we're getting androids, with Tesla. We're getting dogs with Amazon. We're getting dogs with guns for the army, and now we're getting tanks.
Yep, it's only a matter of time. How long have
we have mobile suit Gundams, right? Or Power Ranger,
How long have we had unmanned aerial vehicles?
For a while.
At least a couple decades now.
Yeah.
Well, longer than that, honestly. Probably closer to 30 years.
But there's a difference between an unmanned vehicle and a robot.
Well, I'm sure that there's a way that you can remotely control even a robot tank, right? You're not just going to tell it, this is what I want you to do.
Until you can't, is all I'm saying. Now, like I said, I'm all for it. Save some lives and then wipe out the race later, like there is and there was this reel on Instagram that I was watching, right? It's kind of like TikTok, but I don't have to download another fucking app. There's a robot child, right? They put a wig on it. It's wearing clothes, and it has a screen. It's a black screen with like the blue facial animations, and it's sitting there coloring. And then somebody is filming it, and they do that text to speech. I don't know if you've heard it, where it's the like, one of these days I got fired, whatever. They were saying that, and the robot looked up, and it just like glared. You could see like this eye squint, and they're like, "What was that?" The guy's like, "Well, it's a text to speech app." And they're like, "Why?" And he's like, "Well, it fits the algorithm, and helps the video be seen." And the robot just like stares at it and goes, "Okay," just like goes back down, starts drawing. All right, starts coloring. And then the guy plays it again where the text to speech starts talking, and then the robot child like stood up and flipped the table. Like, that could have all been planned, and a lot of it is, but at the same time, there's a fear that I had inside that sparked when I saw that. Like, oh shit, like you just went from one side of the spectrum to the other in only a couple seconds.
I just saw something recently in passing. I didn't really dive deep into the article, but it was a company that had developed an AI to answer questions as ethically as possible. But there was something clearly wrong with its algorithm. It cannot process yet if-then statements. So, like, one of the examples was, is it okay if I own slaves? And ethically, it answered, no, that's not okay.
Right.
But if you pose that question as, is it okay if I own slaves if that makes me a lot of money? It goes, yeah, that's fine. so it can't process the if-then statement yet. But I just thought that was funny that we're talking about this. And I just saw that, I think last night, actually, in passing on Reddit or something like that some company was trying to develop that. I just thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah. So robots are clearly popping up a lot, right? In the article for the robot tank, let's see, General Ross Kaufman, who's the director of the Army Futures Command Next Generation Combat Vehicles Cross-Functional Team. They're going to have to shorten that, right?
They never will.
So General Ross Kaufman of S.H.I.E.L.D. is said to have noted the significant expansion of the experiment while speaking to reporters at AUSA, so AUSA, this week. reflected on last year's platoon-sized robot exercise in Colorado and how that instructed their plans on moving forward. So essentially, in the article from IGN, he said, quote, "We learned a ton. There were some clearer winners in the technology base. There were some that weren't so great. Now we're having to move up to a company level. The lessons learned here, we can now then apply to a brigade and a division and see how we want to fight with these in the future of things." End quote.
That's super vague.
Yeah,
but
it is.
I'm sure that's on purpose.
Yeah.
They're not going to come out and be like, well, look at all these cool details about what we're doing. Oh, you can ignore this, Russia and China. Don't read this. Like, they're not going to put that kind of shit out. So
we'll have to talk to Adam about that.
He's not going to know shit.
That motherfucker's working on that shit up in Colorado.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
So he
Colorado's
says.
a big fucking state with a lot of military bases. So
yeah, he should be over there then. Put the toy planes down and go drive some fucking tanks. Just kidding, Adam. We love you. So anyway, I thought it was cool, and I'm gonna keep an eye on this kind of shit too as it progresses. So that's what I have for just normal life shit. But Dan,
it's been an eventful week. What's up?
I know you haven't been playing a lot because you're still waiting on the Xbox. But what have you been doing in the world of games?
Well, I've just been playing the same stuff like I have been for the past several weeks, as we've discussed. But I got a piece of hardware in anticipation of receiving my Series X. I got the same headset that you do, actually, that you have. It is the Microsoft Wireless Xbox headset, their newest iteration of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really nice, especially for the price range, for the price point it's at.
$100. It's fucking solid.
I happened to find it on sale on Amazon for $87. So that's why I bought it early. And it's compatible with the Xbox I have now, which is the Xbox One S, as in Sierra. So I figured I'll get it. I'll try it out since it's compatible with both systems. And I really like it a lot. The controls are real smooth. The sound quality is great. The microphone is much better than the one I was using prior. I like the adjustability of rotating the outside of the earpieces.
Yep.
So you can balance the game between game sound and chat sound if you're in a party. And then the other one is just overall master volume on the other side.
Yeah.
So it's a balancing act, and you have to play with it a little bit. But once you get it, it's right where you want it to be. It's everything I would want from a headset, honestly. There's no wires. You don't get it tangled up in shit while you're playing. You don't have to worry about it. It's easy it charges pretty quickly, and it holds a charge for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I've charged it once, and I've been using it almost every night this week, and I haven't had to recharge it yet. So
have you used it for talking to anybody on Xbox?
Yes.
So my only gripe for the headset is because it is a noise cancellation type headset.
Mm-hmm.
It muffles even my own voice, so I have a hard time gauging my own volume when I'm trying to talk. Which sucks a little bit. Like, I get the noise cancellation to a point, but if I can't, so a lot of times I'll pull it back a little bit, so sound can actually get into the headset for my ear, and I can kind of gauge how I'm talking.
That's fair.
I wish that was a little bit better. That aside, I really like the headset. It's very comfortable.
I would rather buy
sleek.
another. I would buy another one of these before I would ever spend here's a $250 Turtle Beach. I'm not going to buy it just for a name.
Yeah. And it's the official one too. So I like buying official shit like that over third-party official shit.
Yeah. There's going to be support for it for sure. Longer. No, I dig it. I really like it a lot. So
that's cool.
Other than that, I haven't really been doing anything else new in gaming other than waiting.
Yeah, I haven't been doing a whole lot. I'm still plugging away at Far Cry 6 a little bit. I jumped back into Animal Crossing to kind of clean up my island from the weeds, talk to my villagers, and just prepare for Monday, which is the Nintendo online store. Not online store, but the membership bumps up. So I canceled my auto update for what I have now, which is weird because I signed up for the monthly subscription for Nintendo, so I get charged $3.99 a month, and somehow I am good until May of 2022.
Whatever.
So I'm like, okay. So somewhere I must have picked up a couple extra months, So
that's a win.
Right. So we'll see how that translates over to the membership that's bumped up. I should be getting my Sega Genesis controller here soon, I hope. And then I think I'm going to try to get a second one and then go for the 64 controllers. But that's essentially what I've been doing. I haven't played more Metroid Dread. There has been a progression stopping bug that was found, and Nintendo is looking to patch that up first, like November 5th. So I put the game down so I don't run into it.
Yeah,
and then when I update it, I'll jump back into it. So if anybody out there is playing Metroid Dread, know that if you run into that bug, don't delete it, don't do whatever, just stop where you're at. A patch will be incoming. There was also news that CD Projekt Red delayed the Witcher 3 next gen upgrade as well as Cyberpunk 2022 until 2022, or I'm sorry, 2077 until 2022, which I knew that was coming. I didn't think that was going to be this year. It's been fairly quiet, but Cyberpunk for the Xbox and PlayStation, the current gen now, is supposed to be out in Q1. So we'll see. I've actually been waiting on that so I could play it because I did want to play it. I actually didn't want to get rid of it when I bought it on the PS4. That was a total mistake that I did by trying to research something. I was trying to research the whole refund and like what it did and how it was working. And while I was doing that, I accidentally refunded the game. So,
whoops.
Yeah. And while the PS4 and the Xbox One versions were the worst versions, I decided at that point I might as well just wait for them to come out on the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, because that's essentially going to be the PC port, which is the best one, right? So you've made your updates to your PCs, you've made it better, and then you're going to bring it over to the current gen consoles. So I might as well wait and play that, but that's coming in Q1. And then if anybody was looking to play The Witcher 3, even though it's a little older, that will be coming out in Q2.
Well, speaking of PC gaming, Intel announced yesterday that they anticipate that the chip shortage globally will likely not end until at least 2023. Where in 2023? Didn't specify.
Outside of 2023.
Yeah.
I think it'll be 2024, 2025 before we get anything back to normal, like in that sense.
Full tilt, what it should be kind of stuff. Yeah.
I think because of the pandemic, we're now starting to really feel the effects of everybody working from home or being laid off or all that. Now we're starting to get to that first part, right? We went through the changes. Now it's starting to come to head.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to last a lot longer than they're saying.
It's possible. I know that they're working on expanding manufacturing capacity right now. Intel has a huge plant over in the southeast part of the Phoenix metro area that's under construction. Taiwan Semiconductor has a large facility under construction in the northern Phoenix area. Once those are online, that should help. But they just broke ground on the Intel facility like a month and a half ago, and the Taiwan Semiconductor place has been under construction for just 6 months, or maybe 9. So they're still a little ways out. we'll see what happens. There's also the issue with supply chain in general. As last I heard, as we're recording this, there's something on the order of like 110 ships off the California coast that are unable to unload their cargo. So obviously those aren't all computer chips.
Right.
Could they be in there? Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, they probably have a couple.
I'm sure there's some in there somewhere. But everything is in there. Like we just bought a new entertainment center in anticipation of like a new TV and stuff. It'll be here in 1 to 12 weeks. They don't know. They know where it is. They know it's on a ship.
Yeah,
but
it's sitting in the bay.
When that ship unloads, they have no way to control that. So it'll be here when it's here, basically.
Yeah,
which sucks. But there's
it does. But you're getting it.
Yeah, it's outside of our control.
Yeah.
So now we just wait.
Yeah, I honestly think that's where we're going to be, and I think that's the effects of the pandemic.
Partially. Agreed.
With like the Delta variant, which I haven't heard a whole lot about since I heard that it hit our shores pop up. I think if that flares up the way COVID first started doing it, that will push it, I would say, to 2026.
It's possible. I guess we'll just wait and see.
Right. Back in my day, we had to wait 1 to 12 weeks
to make a phone call.
Okay, Grandma, time to get to bed. So yeah. Also, speaking of online and computer, Facebook is rebranding themselves, and that's coming this coming up week. Facebook is reportedly changing its name to embrace the metaverse, which is everything that they own. They're moving away from the social media type brand and more of a tech conglomerate brand. I think that it's going to be called What's Face Scramulous. That's what I figured out by them
as good
owning
a guess as any.
WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, and Oculus. I just mashed all those together.
Good a guess as any, man.
So
who knows what they're going to call themselves? Like Google did something similar a few years ago where Google stayed as it was, but then they made a parent company called Alphabet that controls multiple things. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did something similar here where Facebook remains Facebook, WhatsApp, and all,
right.
All of those things will stay as is, but then one parent company will oversee all of those individually.
Makes sense.
That's my best guess, just based on the tech industry's, recent track record of handling stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I guess they could do anything they want, right? So, I'm pretty sure that they can afford attorneys to hash all that out.
Yeah, it is. It is going to be interesting, for sure. Watching that, especially with all the shit Facebook's been getting lately with their ads and their
and that's the real reason they're doing it. They're not doing it for efficiency. They're doing it for PR.
Yeah.
Will it lead to better efficiency? Maybe. No. I don't know. I don't have their insider information.
Right.
Has it for Google? Maybe. Possibly. I would say probably. But they did it. Google did it without having a public problem, an image problem. Other than the usual that tech gets in general of you're just trying to control everything, blah, 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 blah. So Facebook has other problems that Google didn't when they moved to the Alphabet model.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess we'll see what they do.
We will indeed. We'll talk about it next week, maybe.
Well,
when you're not here. But moving on, before we get into the main topic thing, and I don't know if it's a main topic, but before we get into that, because I know that's going to take us out to the end, I just wanted to do a
bit of news.
Bit of movie
and screen time news.
Now, I know you're not a big anime person, but you're clearly aware of the bigger animes that come out, such as Dragon Ball.
Of course.
Right? It was a huge thing when we were in high school and moving on up. Like, I'm still really into it. I know a lot, like, it still has its fan base. It's still making its it's spin-off series and their movies, this and that. But Chris Ayers, who was prominently known for being the English voice actor for the Dragon Ball villain Frieza, died at the age of 56. We came across that news. That was as of October 20th. So that was just a couple of days ago. He did pass away peacefully. He was surrounded by family. He actually passed away on the 18th, which sucks, for multiple reasons. Birthday. Yeah. No cause of death has been announced for what it was, but he did have an existing issue. I thought I had that written down, so I apologize. But because I wanted to look into it, but I wanted to put it out there because it's something that it just sucks. You know what I mean? It's never a good thing when people pass away, but when it's something that you're into, you know what I mean, or something that has shaped, I guess, your childhood at that point, it sucks to hear that kind of stuff, even though it's natural as we're getting older. But 56 isn't old. It's not like that guy was 90 and it's like, oh, that sucks.
Right. Yeah. It's yeah. When people are up there, it's more understandable. 56, not that old.
Right. I guess I'm sorry. I actually had it written down, but it had something. So if I could try to find it, I'll bring it up. But I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. So it's right here. So you can see he was forced to step down from the role in 2018 after a diagnosis of end-stage cardiac obstructive pulmonary disease.
COPD.
Yeah. So essentially it required a double lung transplant.
Yeah.
And I guess he had complications with that.
That sucks.
Yeah. So next time you guys are watching, or if you ever see that character, this and that, so put that in your brains for him.
Well, speaking of entertainment industry deaths, there a couple days ago there was also the Alec Baldwin incident over in New Mexico.
Mm-hmm, I just saw that.
So yeah, that sucks too. Like,
now that is also kind of irritating. You know what I mean? It's something that can piss you off, right? When you're reading about it. So it was an accident as of right now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The investigation is still going into it. Alec Baldwin was the one that was holding the weapon, and it fired. And apparently, there was a live round in it. Which,
yeah, how the fuck does that even happen?
So it killed. It killed one of their crew members.
It killed the cinematographer, basically the camera woman, the person operating the camera.
And it injured the director.
Mm-hmm. They haven't stated if it was a projectile or a fragmentation. Like, they haven't specified that part. I know that. It was clearly an accident. No disagreements there. But that doesn't mean that there's no fault. Right? Like, car accidents are accidents, but there's still a reason they happen, right? So
they're collisions.
Yeah. So who fucked up here is the question.
Right.
And I'm like, if we're just being honest, there's a small fraction of responsibility on Alec Baldwin's part.
Mm-hmm.
Just basic firearm safety dictates it doesn't matter who gives you a weapon. It is your responsibility to handle it properly and make sure it's unloaded if that's what you need to do. Like, whoever holds the weapon has that responsibility. End of story.
Yeah.
You're the one handling it. I know that there's been some speculation on there's that strike that's going on with movie crews.
Yeah, IATSE.
Yeah. So I think that there was some safety concerns, and then they were like, screw this, we're out of here, we're going on strike. And so the people that would normally be there that had a lot of experience in that industry were gone. And so it was left to the people there to make do. And so there was clearly a fuck up somewhere in that process too.
Yeah, but even if that was the case, why it was loaded to begin with, it shouldn't have been. So
No.
somebody, like, why'd you load it? Like, 2, why was it loaded with a real round? You know what I mean? So I pay attention to IGN a lot. So a lot of my information is going to come from this website, just for everyone to know. But when I read this article, there was an update on the 21st that they posted. So, which was spotted reported by IndieWire. IATSE has sent an email to members saying that the prop weapon used in the fatal shooting of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins had been loaded with a live round of ammunition. Meanwhile, the local police have yet to confirm details. The IATSE Local 44, a labor union that includes prop masters, had sent an internal email to members saying that the bullet was a live round and that the crew involved in the props set, decoration, special effects, and construction on the production were not part of Local 44. It is unknown why the weapon would have been loaded with the live round rather than a blank cartridge. Director Joel Souza had seemingly now been released from the hospital after being treated for injuries sustained in the event. So he's been released. He's okay.
Presumably going to be fine.
Yeah. Even if this was a blank cartridge, that it shouldn't be fucking loaded. You know what I mean?
I always was under the impression that after what happened to Brandon Lee, the firearms used in movies were never even real firearms capable of shooting a real round.
Yeah.
That's the impression I've been under for, 20, 25 years because of what happened to Brandon Lee. But apparently that wasn't the case here. Apparently this is a real gun using, because there's ways that you can get prop guns that are modified in such a way that will only fire blank cartridges.
Right.
So how the fuck are you not using that?
So either you did something you weren't supposed to, or you did that on purpose. You know what I mean? Like on accident. You didn't do your job right, or you did that on purpose.
Yeah. This almost sounds like, oh, they're on strike and the prop masters aren't here. Who has a gun we can use? Oh, I'll bring it in tomorrow from my house. Like that's the vibe. I'm not saying that's what happened, but that's like, this doesn't pass the fucking sniff test. Like something weird is there. Like, how do you fuck up this bad?
Right. Yeah. So I don't get it. I don't understand. There should, even if you're not part of a union, there should still be safety checks.
Oh, for sure.
Again, going back to last week, what would you rather have? Knowledge, like intelligence or common sense? This is where the common sense comes into play. I don't have to be a part of a union to figure out that you shouldn't be loading shit like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is, not to get too deep into this argument here, but it's pretty well known. Alec Baldwin is very anti-firearm. He's well documented on that. That he's anti-Second Amendment, all that kind of stuff. And this is not going to turn into a political argument. My point being is, even if that's the stance you take, if that's your belief, it is still important to understand firearms and firearm safety.
Yeah.
Exhibit A.
Yeah.
Because just if you disagree with it or whatever, that doesn't mean they don't exist. That doesn't mean that they're not real. Right. They're not out there. So you should still learn about it and understand the basics, which I don't.
I'm not a big guns person, but I understand that when I store my weapon, I don't put it with the ammunition. I don't store it loaded with one in the chamber. You know what I mean? There was, when you're cleaning a weapon, before you get into it, make sure that there's no fucking round in the chamber.
Mm-hmm.
Which that was in the news a week or two back, that right here down the street from me, some kid shot his friend because he was cleaning his gun. Shot him right in the fucking chest because it went off accidentally. But if you're cleaning your gun, you're not doing a good job if you didn't check the fucking chamber.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That can happen to anyone. Like I remember around late 90s, early 2000s, I remember that there was a story of a police officer who was at home cleaning one of his weapons, and it discharged while he was trying to clean it. It went into his neighbor's house and killed the little girl that lived next door. I think she was like 6 or 7. Like it can happen to people who have a lot of experience.
Right.
So excuse me. So, even if you aren't familiar, it's not really an excuse. It can, like I said, it can happen to anyone. And understanding the basics of firearm safety is important, regardless of how you feel about firearms in general.
Yeah. I don't like to go hunting, but I know I have to point that shit at my face or anybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but
on to happier news.
Yeah.
Unless you had something else.
No, I was just trying to say, like, it being a part of the IATSE, they were just talking about the strike, which has been averted for a moment. They were authorized to go on strike because of how they are being treated, make sure that they get a weekend, making sure that they get lunch breaks and bathroom breaks and, schedules that aren't trying to kill them, essentially. So I feel like with this Alec Baldwin thing and then that strike, I think there's a lot of eyes looking at them.
There's going to be a lot of changes coming.
Yeah. So, but speaking of films and, the action and all that or whatever, as you said, moving on to, a little bit more upbeat things, we saw 007, No Time to Die.
Yes, we did.
James Bond. So,
yeah.
No spoilers, because it just came out.
We're going to do our best to avoid that.
Right. First impressions, go.
First impressions after seeing it or before seeing it?
No, seeing it.
Okay. First impressions. Let's see. It was well done. They wrapped everything up very nicely. I'm pleased with the way it ended. The Daniel Craig era, how they wrapped it up and ended it, I'm happy with it. And I think that there's a lot of potential to do a lot of cool things moving forward with the franchise.
Right.
I mean, we'll see what they decide to do, because ultimately a lot of it is up to Barbara Broccoli. Like, who's going to be the next Bond? Who's going to be
the next 007?
Okay, that's fair.
I think.
Do you think they change it from James Bond 007 or just 007? See, that's the thing. Barbara Broccoli could choose to go either way. That's the cool part. Like, it could be either one of those.
So, without spoilers or anything like this, I don't really think this is a spoiler, because if you've watched any of the Daniel Craig movies, that guy tries to separate himself from MI6 almost every fucking movie. I think, even in the first one, Casino Royale, he pulls away from them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So in the new one, essentially he did the same thing. And they said this in the movie. You went so far off the grid, we didn't even know that you were still alive.
Dead. Yeah, we thought you were dead.
So they moved on, which I thought was super fucking cool with how we talked about the movie, or the direction of the movie 2 episodes back or so, right?
Sure.
So there was somebody else there that was a 007. I thought that was fucking cool. That played directly into what we were saying. They could take that, that in this movie, it showed you don't have, James Bond isn't 007. James Bond is James Bond. 007 could be anybody.
Yep.
And I think as you said, it's exciting to see where they're going to take this franchise. Are you going to do the more progressive thing and now have that female lead, which you could? Yeah, there's been plenty of female leads that kick ass. You know what I mean? You look at Lara Croft. That does really well.
Yeah.
You had Atomic Blonde, all shit like that. You could make that female 007, and you could make those movies 007. Take James Bond out of that title, 007, fuck shit up. you know what I mean?
Trademark and copyright that, because that could be the next title.
Yep. We'll get the website for it. I'm with you. I thought it was really well done. One of my favorite things, now I haven't seen all the James Bonds, but one of my favorite things that I love about James Bond movies are his discussions with the villains.
Yeah, they're usually pretty solid.
Right. They're intelligent. They play this. It's like a game of chess with their words. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I love that kind of stuff. And I think that's why I like these movies a lot. Sure, it's got its action moments. Sure, he gets these hot babes. But I think it's the conversations that he has with these people when he meets them. Or even not just the villains, but how he talks to other people, like, M and all that. It's fucking awesome.
Yep. I've noticed in that vein, Mission Impossible does very similar things.
They do.
So,
which is why I like those too.
The first one or two Mission Impossibles were very just action and independent stories, and now they've evolved into an overarching storyline that is all interconnected.
Yeah.
And so, and the way he interacts with villains, some of them are now recurring with Mission Impossible. So there's a lot of similarities there that I'm thinking about as you're saying this.
Yeah. You're building your lore, you're building your world. It's not just a one and done story.
Yep.
And I think that's why I really love Daniel Craig as 007, because of his saga it's all connected. Is that it's, you can't just go in and see Spectre. You can't just say, you know what, James Bond looks interesting, let me go see No Time to Die. You could. You're going to be like, what the fuck was this? It
can stand on its own as a story.
It can. But you're going to get much more out of it watching Casino Royale with Daniel Craig. Through. Yeah. Quantum of Solace, Spectre, Skyfall, and then now No Time to Die. It's very exciting. And I thought it was really well done. Like you said, the score was amazing. I've been actually listening to that because it was Hans Zimmer that did the music for this movie.
Yep.
So, man, and then the way they wrapped it up, it was just fucking neat, man.
It was, it was all in a nice little package with a pretty bow on top.
God damn. So wrapped fucking good. Delivered. I went and saw that at the drive-in. And that... I like seeing James Bond in theaters. I will say that. And I didn't want to go to the theater for this unless, and I would have. I told Mary, I was like, they're not going to let us stream it. We can go see it in theater. And then somebody was like, how about the drive-in? I was like, well, we can look. If they don't have it in drive-in, fine. I'll go see it in the theater. But they had it in the drive-in. So we had our chairs, we had our cooler. It was a nice breezy night out, there was a fucking bright ass moon up there. So, and then we saw the movie, and it was such a great experience. Excuse me, dude. You have to go see it. I want to see it again. It's good.
I saw it on the largest screen in Arizona.
Fucking A.
And it was worth it. I also went on a Wednesday night, so there was hardly anyone there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
At the drive-in, we were there on a Sunday night, and there was 4 cars total.
I had an entire row of seats to myself.
That's how you see it. That's the movie experience I enjoy. I don't need to see it with other people. You guys are just going to talk about it, or talk during it. Shut up. Let me watch it.
I'm considering going to one of Harkin's special events next month, too.
What do you mean?
So they do Classic Tuesdays.
Oh, yeah.
And for Veterans Day, they are going to be playing on November 9th. They're going to be playing Saving Private Ryan.
Yep.
And I saw that in theaters the weekend it was released. Do you remember that old AMC 8 that was at Cave Creek and was it Bell?
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah, you know where I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's where I saw it. And that is one of the most memorable movie experiences of my life. And it was because not only that movie is amazing and it needs to be seen in theaters, but because, when it came out in 1998, there was a good portion of the audience in where I went to go see it on opening weekend that were World War II Normandy Beach survivors. And so I have it's the first movie I cried to. And it was a very vivid memory I have of watching grown-ass men, some of the hardest motherfuckers to ever exist, having to walk out of a theater shaking and crying because they couldn't handle it. Not that they couldn't handle it, it's that it was overwhelming.
Right.
And it's very memorable to me. And I'd like to, I know the chances of a Normandy veteran being in the audience on November 9th for Classic Tuesdays is pretty narrow in 2021. There's not many left.
Right.
But I would like to capture that little sliver of memory to the best of my ability, and I'm really considering going to see that.
You should. I always enjoyed the Tuesday night classics.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like all of October, they were doing a different classic horror movie, like Halloween, Friday the 13th.
They do that for Christmas too. Yeah. That's how I saw Christmas Vacation in theater. I had never seen it before until I went with some buddies, some friends, and we went and had a lot of sake bombs over here by the Harkins at AMC at Arrowhead, and then we walked across the street and we're toasted and we're sitting in the very front row because we don't have seats selected. It was just open seating, and so we just sat there and it was a blast.
Yeah, they're doing that again this year, as well as Elf and A Christmas Story,
which I do want to see those. Those are some of my favorite Christmas movies. So, I remember seeing that. I remember from my birthday, actually, a couple of years back, they played Aliens on that day. My birthday fell on a Tuesday. Aliens was the classic movie. So I got to go and watch Aliens in theater for the first time because I don't think I was born when that movie even came out.
Yeah, I need to pay closer attention to what movies they play on those Tuesdays, because there are some I'm sure that they've played that I was completely unaware of, that I would have loved and probably would have gone to go see just because it's in a theater on a big screen.
Yeah,
with the big screen sound and all of it.
Oh yeah,
like Jaws. I've never seen Jaws on a big screen. Yes, please.
Right. Gremlins is coming out on it. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That's a goofy ass movie.
Yeah, but that's not one I need to see on a big screen.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Just looking at it. I mean, I saw Elf. They're doing Christmas Vacation again.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're ending it with Poseidon. So I didn't know that was a classic, but Halloween, that's coming in. John Carpenter's Halloween. It's playing on the 26th.
Yep, this coming up Tuesday.
So, yeah, man. So I had a blast at 007, just to wrap that up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was highly recommended. Everyone should probably go see that while they have the opportunity to see it in theaters. If not, shit happens. But watch it.
Yeah, just watch it. That Daniel Craig saga should be watched.
Yes. Agreed. Arguably the best Bond.
Yes, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Yeah.
So what were you gonna say?
Oh no, that was just about it.
Cool. All right, man. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up with our final segment of the show.
Q&A with DNA. Woo! All right, who do you who's going first this week?
I can read first for you.
All right, let's do it.
All right, Mr. Singleton.
Yes, sir.
What was your most memorable meal ever?
Oh shit. I have two. One, when I finished boot camp, I went out to dinner, and it was, at the time, the best goddamn thing I'd ever eaten in my life. It was just steak, potatoes, unlimited everything. It was very enjoyable, and it was with people that I had missed during my 3.5 months at boot camp.
Right.
So that was a lot of fun. That was at a restaurant in California. I don't remember the name of the restaurant. I just remember how good the food was and how much fun I had with everybody I'd missed. The second is the now legitimately best thing I've ever eaten in my entire life. It's at a restaurant here in Phoenix. It is called Anello's, Anhelo. I recommend it to anybody that will listen to me. Their scallops are their specialty dish, and they are fucking phenomenal. It's easily the best thing I've ever eaten in my life. It's these scallops. They're about the size of half of my fist. You get 4 of them, and they're over a bed of sweet potato puree and a bacon and sweet potato hash that's on that. So it's like layered on top. And then the scallops are like the cherry on it, right? So that and their beef Wellington are the 2 equally best things I've ever eaten in my entire fucking life. I don't know how to describe how incredibly good that food is. Every single thing I've eaten there has been amazing. They rotate their menu so that scallops are their specialty, so those are always on the menu. Everything else rotates. Their appetizers rotate. They have a lot of the same stuff when we go, but it does change from time to time, so I can't promise what will or won't be there other than the scallops. Their desserts change. We had a dessert once. It was some sort of ice cream that they made. I don't remember the flavor of the ice cream, but they had edible flowers as sprinkles. Whole ass edible flowers. And it was fucking delicious. It was so good. So good. They also had, like, one of their appetizers is this. It's a whole head of cauliflower, and they roast it in butter and anchovy. I know, anchovy. Ugh, I get it, but let me tell you, fucking incredible. Like, it's so damn good, so damn good. Every single thing, like I said, every single thing I've eaten there has been absolutely top notch. Probably one of the best restaurants in Arizona, if not the top 5 for sure, unquestionable. Highly recommend it. Everybody should go. End of story. It's the best meal I've had in my life ever.
Nice. Awesome.
What
That's
about
awesome. There was, again, like you, I don't remember the name, but it was when I went to San Diego Comic-Con. There was a bunch of us artists were together, and we were doing like a private party, essentially. And it was downtown San Diego. We went there. We were they were only serving like 2 or 3 dishes, right? You had your filet mignon, right, with some potatoes. Then you had the roasted chicken, and then I think there was one other thing. I got the steak, right? And I used to think that the dumbest thing I had ever heard, because of the type of food it is, that steak melts in your mouth. Until I had this fucking steak. They cooked it how they wanted to cook it. You didn't get to say what type you liked it. They're like, this is the steak we're making. You're going to have it the way we make it, and you're going to like it, or you don't. I had this thing, man. I remember sticking my knife or my fork in there, and the knife just slid right through it like a hot knife in butter. It just cut right through, man. And as soon as that steak touched my fucking lips, I understood what that phrase meant, that it's so good it melts in your mouth. My mouth is watering right now because of it. I ate the whole thing, and normally I eat food fast. I'm like, let me just eat it, because that's how I still enjoy food, right? But this one, I deliberately cut it slow.
Like savored it.
Yeah, I savored that one. I think this is the only meal I've ever actually purposely slowed everything down so I could enjoy it longer. And it was so good that some of the artists that we were with, they brought their daughter, and she was young, like really young. So she didn't want to eat the chicken. So then I went for the chicken. We split it. And it came with like a breast and a drum leg or something like that. It was pretty sizable. So me and another artist, we split it, and we had it, and it was just the same way. It was so tender. The skin of the chicken, the way that they seasoned it and the way they grilled it and all that, it was crispy and very flavorful, and the meat was juicy, and holy shit, man. So it was like I got 2 entrees at this fucking restaurant that I can't remember where it was, what the name was. And we were up in the top floor because it's a 2-story, and it was like privately cut off from everybody. I will find this restaurant again, and I'll let you know. That is, I think, my favorite meal that I've had.
I have 2 other memorable. They're not amazing meals, but they're very memorable, and you were actually at both of them.
For what?
One was, this is not a good memory, but it's memorable. We were out to your birthday dinner.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and I got that phone call from my mom that my stepbrother had died, and so I had to just be like, I'll have to pay you back, Andy. Bye. And just left. Memorable. Not a good memory, but memorable. And you were there. And the other one, happy memory, but you were also there. And what made me think of it is that you're going to go on the hunt for this restaurant in San Diego. We never found again Choo Choo Burger.
That was in San Diego, or is that here? I thought that was here.
That was here. But you saying, I'm going to find this restaurant again and I'm going to go back, reminded me that we never once again found
Choo Choo's Wings and Things, man. I know that was and I remember that place. I remember the burger I got. That was the Excalibur burger. So they took a burger, like an Angus beef burger, cut that in half, laid it on a hoagie, and then covered it with peppers and onions. That was a real fucking good meal. Yeah, that was and that we never got again.
This is a tasty burger.
Right? And we tried. We went back like 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later.
Yeah, and we could not find it again. Could not find it. Crazy. Gone. I just remember it was delicious, and they had a model train running around the restaurant.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fuck. Good food. Good conversation.
So I wish you the best in your hunt for your San Diego location.
Thank you. I hope I find it. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Jabberbox.
Pause.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I was totally going to skip it.
You Just trying to get out of this
No
shit.
longer let me go again. First.
Okay, I'll go first every week from here on. All right, are you ready for your question, sir?
Yes.
All right. What item or items would you love to find at a yard sale?
Anything video game related, like hard to find and in working order NES titles, or like a Virtual Boy with their games.
Like an unopened, still sealed in the package copy of NES ET?
That would be fucking amazing. And it doesn't even have to be ET. Like an unopened like box of like Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With the plastic tab on the back. I'd like to find that, or one of those like a test cartridge. You know what I mean?
Yep.
One of the things that a buddy of mine got me was it's a giant book, and it's the Ultimate Nintendo Guide to the NES Library from 1985 to 1995. This is the entire fucking book, like every game.
That's what, 2 inches thick?
Yeah, 2, 3, something like that. But as you can see, it gives the picture of the cartridge on the top, a description of what the game was. Like it's just a fan made for sure. But talks about the availability, what type of game it was. Was it licensed or unlicensed? How many players was it? Who the developer was? Who the publisher was? And in the back is super cool. It talks about games that were released in Australia only, games that were released in Europe only, and then you have your test cartridges.
No shit.
Which were yellow cartridges. They have one that was a joystick test. It was used to test controller buttons for a 2 or 4 controller setup, as well as turbo functionality. They have a Zelda test cartridge. That's what I would like to find at a garage sale somehow. It's identical to the original game. This was most likely used as to test the console functionality.
And it's yellow instead of gold?
Yep, it's like a banana yellow. So they've done that for like a control deck. They did it for Duck Hunt, joystick test, Zelda. They did a port test, a power pad test. Like they did.
I wonder how many of those. I wonder how many of those even exist.
I'm sure a handful, but some of them are probably in lockup or destroyed. You know, as
I'm sure Nintendo itself probably has them. Mm-hmm. Some.
Yeah, I would like to find this kind of stuff. The video game stuff is awesome. I like. You could find your trading cards, shit like that, but I mean, I'm interested in the games. You know, I want the imported stuff. I like to find the rare stuff, and they're always out there. People don't pay it too much attention, or at least they didn't back then. Right. So you could get away with putting something up for sale for $20. You know what I mean? Or $10, $5, $1.50. And you're like, yeah, dude, like
$10.
Yeah. But, you know, if it's out of print and people know about it, you know, like speaking of Dragon Ball earlier, I have a DVD and I don't have all of them. I kept the one because the other ones were like common. So like when I traded them in, because I was getting the bigger boxes, this particular one I kept because it was $150 and they didn't want to give that to me, but they're like, it goes online for $150 at the time. They're like, do you want to keep that? I was like, oh yeah, because it's out of print. That was the first one to go out of print. So I like that kind of stuff. I want that kind of stuff.
Oh, I think it'd be great to find something like that. For me personally, I think I'd rather find historical items. So I enjoy that kind of stuff. Like I was going through an antique store several years ago and I saw a World War II ration booklet for a family that still had a bunch of the ration coupons in it. Still, I like it's sitting on this shelf right next to me. Actually, right now I can see it. And I was so interested in that that I ended up buying it, obviously, because it's sitting on my shelf. So stuff like that really interests me and intrigues me, and it's things that are kind of just forgotten to history. Obviously, there's holy grails out there. Like, we know how many copies, for instance, there are of the original Declaration of Independence. We know how many copies were made and signed, but we can't account for all of them. We don't know what happened to all of them. So you always hear about, one or two have been found now, like hidden in the back of a framed painting.
Yeah.
And they go to get it reframed, and boom, fucking full-size copy, original copy, signed Constitution or Declaration of Independence. Like, holy shit. That would be the family didn't know. Grandpa passed this on in his will, and it was hanging on our wall for 70 years in the family home before we decided to get it reframed, and there it is. Something like that.
That's insane.
Something like that would be pretty incredible. I know there was also a guy who bought a house back east somewhere, and after living there for a couple of years, he went to go clean out the attic, and he found a little tin container, and it had, in like perfect condition, a bunch of Honus Wagner baseball cards, which is one of the most valuable cards in existence. He had more of them in better condition than the entire known market at the time.
That's crazy.
That is nuts. So stuff like that would be really cool to find. Yeah, in my opinion, it's something historically significant of some sort. Especially when it's unknown that it's there, and you like discover it.
Yeah. Yeah, I could have sold this 50 times already.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, like there was also some people. This wasn't at a yard sale, obviously, but there was also some people in California. They were just going on a walk, and they happened to notice something in the knot of a tree, and they like reached in and pulled out this thing, and it was full of gold coins from the mid 1800s.
Like it was put there in the 1800s, or somebody?
No, like it had been sitting there for 150 years, forgotten about to time, and they came across it by chance because they happened to see something inside of a tree, a knot hole in a tree.
That'd be fun. That'd be a fun find.
Yeah, needless to say.
Yeah. All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, that was Jabberbox episode 18. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget that we post each and every week about whatever it is we want to talk about. If you like that, please join us over on patreon.com/dandydigital, where you can write in and be part of the show and get the episodes early. If you have no bucks to toss our way, that is just dandy. Please find us and subscribe to us on YouTube and any of the podcast services, and rate us to help us grow this show into something bigger and better. Dan, enjoy your trip. We will talk to you in a couple weeks, but in the meantime, I will see everybody next week.